Welcome in. It is 5 a.m. on your Wednesday. I'm Rebecca Smith. A little spooky out there.
It is. I'm Bill Bryant. We're glad you're with us on WKYT this morning. We have considerable fog. That's the issue this morning. And some of our areas continue to deal with sort of the aftermath of the winter storm that moved through.
Yeah.
The melt has been going on. There have been some high water areas and so forth.
Multiple concerns this morning, Micah.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to pay attention to the next 24 hours is the flooded streams and creeks and rivers, and also looking at that fog the next 3 or 4 hours before it starts to just wither away and break apart. One thing we are seeing this morning, northern Kentucky, you guys are actually picking up a couple of flakes rolling on through. None of this is going to be a major concern, not a big deal, and we're not expecting that to increase. It just looks like it's coming on through, a little batch there of a piece of energy. Another piece of energy back toward the west. This is going to stay out of the way. It actually falls apart, but before it even gets here. And what we're going to be seeing the next few days, a big-time warm-up. And I mean big time. We go from the 30s today, 40s tomorrow, 60s towards your weekend. We're at 32 now. So we're looking forward to it, but it's just going to take a little bit of time. The roadways are looking pretty good. Obviously, they are wet. And at 32 degrees, you could have some slick spots here and there. But with that patchy fog outside, there's no dense fog advisory. However, there is that patchy, very dense fog. So when the advisories come on out, it's because it's widespread and very dense. But not this time. It's very patchy. You can see Frankfort doesn't look all that bad. A little fog trying to develop. But look at Lexington. Now, our sky cam is about 60 feet off the ground on top of the building. And you can see there that it's just rolling right into that fog. So, yeah, there's going to be some concerns as you roll into that. As we go throughout the morning hours, I'd say 9, 10 a.m. is when it should start to wither away. Temperatures this morning around 30 degrees. We get in towards your afternoon. Could we see a peak of sunshine? It's going to be hard to do, but there is that possibility. We haven't seen that in a long time. 38 degrees later on this afternoon. Planning on going out later on this evening. No issues whatsoever, as we will be right around 35 degrees. Good news here is we're getting well above that 32-degree reading. So anything there on the roads is not going to freeze. It actually melts today. There's some good news. And if it doesn't melt today, trust me on this, next several days it will. Tomorrow morning we're at 31. That is not that bad. It's actually close to average. Okay, let's go over what we're going to be expecting and tracking the next 6 to 7 days. The much better days, we're talking about that on Thursday through your weekend, where we not only see 40s, but we see 50s and 60s too. And so that weather looks phenomenal. However, it's after that we're going to be seeing some very interesting weather again in the forecast. We got to get out of this pattern, but it's just not going to happen in the next 7 days. We're going to go over that forecast coming to you guys in just a few minutes.
And over the past few days, it has been snow, but this morning, drivers could also encounter some different traffic troubles and challenges out there.
Yeah, it could impact your visibility. Thick fog, many areas, including near Lexington's Bluegrass Airport. Michelle Chamberlain is live with more on how the fog is slowing up travel this morning. Good morning.
Yeah, this patchy fog could be creating some issues for those of you traveling today. Yesterday, there were several flights that were delayed here at the Bluegrass Airport, so that's what we're keeping our eye on this morning. So far this morning, there are only 3 flights delayed here at the Bluegrass Airport. 2 of those flights to Atlanta and 1 of those to Philadelphia. Now, for those of you heading to work on the road this morning, you could come across some issues as there is patchy fog across central Kentucky. And this fog you just need to keep your eye on. Visibility is low, so you need to be careful out there. And if you notice you're approaching dense fog, keep your low beams on. Travel with your window cracked if you have enough heat in that car so that you can hear oncoming traffic. Also, I thought this was pretty interesting. You can keep an eye on your speed. The fog creates a perception that you're driving slower than you actually are. Now, visibility is at a half a mile or lower in certain parts of central Kentucky. So be careful out there this morning. Once again, like I said, there are 3 flights delayed so far here at the Bluegrass Airport, 2 of those to Atlanta and 1 to Philadelphia, and I will keep you updated on those delays throughout the morning. Live in Lexington, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Well, emergency crews say flooded roads in Knox County led to 2 high water rescues within hours of each other. The Knox County Special Ops Response Team says both rescues happened on Manchester Street in Barberville. They say a 66-year-old man had to be rescued from a ravine after he tried driving through a flooded area. The second rescue happened late last night when a vehicle carrying 2 people got stuck in high water. Response Captain Gerald Baker says those rescues are almost always avoidable if drivers just don't have to drive through the high water.
If they turn around and it may take a few more minutes to drive another route, but it's better to do that than end up in the situation these folks ended up in.
Well, Baker says his team prepares for rescue situations anytime weather's bad. He says they are called to one rescue nearly every time the area is hit with heavy rain.
High water also forced road closures in Estill County. A bridge on Red Lick Road had to be blocked off after water from the creek it crosses rose to just a few inches beneath it. Road crews say the road will not be reopened until the water goes back down. The Kentucky River also was on the rise yesterday, coming very close to some homes. People living near the river say they are keeping a close eye on the water levels.
Done a lot of moving out and moving back in. When it comes over that bank there, we start moving. When it starts getting too high, you'll see them going out of here.
Sounds like he knows the routine. A transportation cabinet spokesman says it will probably take a few days for the water levels to recede. You can track snow and rain and the wintry elements along with the latest traffic with the WKYT Weather Plus Traffic app. You can download that for free in the app or Google Play stores. Lexington police say an overnight crash has caused damage to a utility pole. The incident happened around 1:30 this morning at the corner of Fontaine and Irvin. Police say a driver swerved off of the road and hit the pole. Nobody was injured, but Kentucky Utilities has had to come out and they've been installing a new pole, and while crews work to get that new pole up this morning, they have temporarily closed Fontaine between McDowell and Irvin roads there near Chevy Chase. So keep that in mind this morning.
Yeah, good to know. Happening today, a large group expected to gather at the Capitol in support of legislation known as the Kentucky Competitive Workforce Act.
That bill would offer discrimination protections for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender workers, but others say the bill would take away the rights of certain employers. WKYT's Mark Barber is at the Capitol to explain more about this debate. Mark?
Good morning, Bill. That hearing will be at noon today, and then the fairness rally, that will be at 1. And while we still have some ways to go before we actually reach the actual debate, things are already starting to heat up this morning as information is coming in from both sides. Now, it's all centering around House Bill 155. Senators have introduced the bill that they say would protect LGBT people from discrimination. They say Kentucky's Civil Rights Act has not been updated in over 1/3 of the Commonwealth, and that means that LGBT discrimination is possible in housing and employment. So the Kentucky House Judiciary Committee will hold their informational hearing on that possible LGBT discrimination protections at noon. Already it is facing strong opposition. Opponents of the bill say it threatens religious freedom in Kentucky. They think that if this is put into effect, that it could actually spin off more Kim Davis cases. They tell us that they are calling this the Religious Discrimination Act of 2016. They think that it will allow people to use the same civil rights ordinance as a weapon against businesses that are run by people of faith, especially when it comes to schools. Now, of course, we have a lot of information from both sides of this hotly contested issue. We are just now starting to look over that information, and we'll be breaking it down for you in more depth coming up on WKYT News at 6. Live in Frankfort, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Mark, thank you. It was meant to make a downtown Lexington street more pedestrian friendly, but now a pilot project for Short Street is no longer happening. They're returning things back to the way they were. The Short Street pilot program was first unveiled last August. It was designed to incorporate lighting with affordable and reversible street enhancements along 3 blocks of Short Street. But city officials say the project is being discontinued due to the ongoing construction along Upper Street and because of the upcoming courthouse renovation. While city officials say the sidewalk extension caused traffic issues, Parley Social's manager says the extension helped people walk down the street more safely.
People tend to come down kind of quick down Short Street, and that slowed them down, which is kind of essential when you have a lot of people on foot.
The city spent about $183,000 on the pilot project. City officials say once the courthouse project is complete, they may revisit Short Street. That's going to be an interesting debate ahead.
Yeah,
and
we'll see.
A lot of work ahead there to get the courthouse restored. 5:09 now, and WKYT This Morning is just getting started on your Wednesday.
And this time last month, everyone was hoping to hit the $1 billion Powerball jackpot. While no one in Kentucky won, one person in Florida did. They're expected to come forward today.
And we're going to be looking for those snow showers in the far northern portions of our viewing area. But I promise you this, we'll get that on out of the way, and a warm-up is on the way. I'll have that coming up next.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
No surprise here. We talked about this the past few days, that we have a chance at a couple of flurries, a couple of flakes during the morning hours, especially north of I-64. And here we go. You can look northbound into Pendleton County. Falmouth, you're next in line. Right now, you do have a snow shower right across Highway 22, and it'll roll across Highway 10, and that's right there in between US 27, and it stretches all the way to 68 there in Mason County. Brooksville, you're going to be next in line, too, in just about 20-30 minutes, but Falmouth, yeah, give it another couple of minutes if you're not seeing it already, and it heads right over Falmouth. And look, we're going to see that roll eastbound and southeastbound. So, yeah, Mason County, you're next in line. It goes from Maysville and then Mays Lick, and then you slide over toward Lewis County, northern portions of Fleming. Give it about an hour, and it heads right through you guys. Nothing to be concerned about, but a good clip as it flies on through. 32 degrees down in Frankfort. Some of that fog trying to build, and you can see London, Corbin area down south, no real fog issue there. But yeah, Lexington, we're picking up on that fog. Pretty foggy conditions here in the Bluegrass. Bluegrass, really 0 miles there out at the airport. That goes for Richmond as well. Danville right around 3 miles. But the farther you get back toward the east and southeast, better likelihood of staying away from some of this fog. So there is some patchy fog out and about. We just got to keep in mind that as you travel this morning, not only are you looking at wet roadways, maybe a few slick spots, even though temperatures are at or above freezing, still you're going to be dealing with a lot of these elements rolling into these as you're traveling this morning. By noontime, 34, 38 by the afternoon. It's not a bad day. 38, I mean, yeah, that's about 5 degrees below average, but it's not all that bad. We head throughout your evening and night, things are looking pretty good. Let's talk about today's talkers. No accumulating snow expected. And it looks like a few flakes, few flurries north of 64, especially during the morning hours. The next few days, though, we dry some things out. We actually get a lot of sunshine the next few days, and that'll allow us not only the sunshine, but also these winds coming in from the south and southwest. Boy, that's going to pump in the 60s for the weekend. Let's talk about your weekend real quick. Here's what we're going to be looking at Saturday and Sunday. We're talking 64 and 60 degrees. Much, much better weather ahead. Sunday we'll have that small chance of a couple of showers rolling on through. Then you see next week, we drop it back down, but it's not that big of a hit. Hopefully we'll stay away from snow during that time. But yeah, a couple of flurries today, and that's about it. Thursday, Friday, and into your weekend, guys, look phenomenal. It's not just a day or two break. You're talking about 4 consecutive days. Looking pretty good.
That's great.
And also feeling great, too. Really nice
That's good.
weather. Yeah.
Stop it right there, because we see then it goes back. And, yeah. All right. We're going to enjoy what we have coming in the short
term. Don't be a downer, Bill.
Right.
Well, we all have our moments, right? I know I do. Remember the record-breaking Powerball draw last month? Of course, it was huge. We're all talking about it. That jackpot was worth more than $1.5 billion.
Well, the world is about to meet one of the 3 lucky winners from that drawing. One of the tickets was sold at a Publix grocery store in Melbourne Beach, Florida, and that winner plans to reveal himself or herself sometime today. A Tennessee couple was the first to come forward. They took a lump sum payout of more than $187 million after taxes. And a third winning ticket was sold in California, but that winner has yet to come forward. And yet that was the store where they all went berserk and showed up. And remember the
And you were very confused about that.
Well, it was just interesting. I mean, one person won, but a huge crowd was.
They were showing their support,
yeah,
you know?
There was a kind of a fun part of it all. All right, 5:16 is our time on WKYT on your Wednesday morning.
We have a look at your money. Stick with us.
A home security company opens the door to a new partnership. And big and boring are the best cars for new drivers. I'm Marley Hall, and I'll have those stories and more coming up in your CBS Money Watch report.
Good morning. Welcome back in. WKYT this morning on the air. Our time this morning is 5:20, and home security services company ADT is being bought. Also, proposed new rules by the Agriculture Department could force retailers who accept food stamps to stock healthier options.
And new recommendations are out for parents shopping for their teenager's first car. I'm sure they're nervous about that. Marley Hall has the latest on your money.
Home security services company ADT will be purchased by Apollo Global Management for $6.9 billion. ADT's board approved the acquisition and is expected to close the deal by June. The news caused shares of the company to jump 50%. Wall Street rallied after a three-day holiday weekend. The Dow gained 222 points Tuesday. The Nasdaq added 98. Proposed new rules by the Agriculture Department would force retailers that accept food stamps to stock healthier options. It's a move designed to ensure that people who use the government benefit have access to better foods. The rules would require stores to carry at least 168 items that the USDA considers healthy. New recommendations are out for parents shopping for their teenager's first car. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, vehicles for these new drivers should be boring and slow. The company says the best mid-size car for teens is the 2012 Ford Fusion, and the best large car is the 2012 Buick Regal. That's your Money Watch. For more, log on to CBSMoneyWatch.com. In New York, I'm Marley Hall.
521 on WKYT this morning, up and at it here on this Wednesday.
Yeah, sports is up next.
Tomorrow night it is the Cats and the Volunteers. UK seemingly has come a long way in just 2 weeks since dropping that game in Knoxville. Rick Barnes, he loves him some Tyler Eulis, just like we do. We've also got Morehead State highlights and high school basketball action from Lexington last night. Sports is next.
We do have a couple of flurries to the far northern zones, a couple of flakes. None of that's going to be a major issue. Just passing on by. Something that we're kind of used to by now. We're looking at Frankfort at 32. Some foggy issues here and there, especially across the bluegrass. And as we go through the day, we may get a peak of sunshine later on this afternoon, but for the most part, it's going to be mostly cloudy. Still on the chilly side of things at 38, but it does get better in the days to come. And I'll show you that in your full forecast coming up. Let's check out sports this morning.
Kentucky has Tennessee coming into Rupp Arena tomorrow night, and the Cats will be a pretty big favorite to get some revenge over the team which beat them 2 weeks ago. If the Cats had not lost in Knoxville, right now they would have had won 7 of their last 8, that only loss coming in that emotional overtime game at Kansas. But John Calipari has accepted what happened then and has moved forward.
If you watched what we've been able to do offensively and defensively, we're moving like this. Now, there's some step backs, but they're not machines. These kids are not computers, and they have bad games. You got to accept every once in a while they throw a dud out there. It's not what I want, but it happens.
You can't talk about Kentucky and not talk about Tyler Eulis. His name came up yesterday as Tennessee coach Rick Barnes talked about Thursday's game.
You can't say enough about a guy like Tyler that he's terrific. I mean, he is. I mean, I just love his competitive fire, and but as a group, they just seem to have a real belief in each other right now.
Cats and the Vols in Rupp Arena tomorrow night, 7 o'clock tip on ESPN. Last night at Johnson Arena, Morehead State hosting St. Catherine from the Mid-South Conference. Early in the first half, Jared Ravenscraft spots up on the wing and hits. He had a big night, did number 14. Then it's Wes Noble, the pride of Jackson and Breathitt County, putting in 2 of his 10. In transition, Ronnie Beeman will throw it down with 2 hands. Morehead State up by 30, and they win big time, 105-66. Henry Clay at Lafayette last night also. Henry Clay building a double-digit lead in the second quarter. Isaiah Tisdale thinks about it, then pulls for 3. How about again, Tisdale with a smooth southpaw shot. 10 of 17 shooting, 26 points, but Lafayette would take the lead. Their big horse, Ross Jenkins, helped the Generals rally. They take the lead into the 30 at 19, but Henry Clay would pull it out in the fourth, 73-65. That is a look at sports. Have a great day.